On Saturday, the leaders of China and Taiwan will meet for the first meeting of its kind since the Chinese Revolution in 1949. It's being widely billed as a historic moment. With me to discuss it is James Kynge, the FT's emerging markets editor. James, this meeting has come as a huge surprise, hasn't it? Why is it happening?
Well, it has come as a great surprise, and there are lots of debate at the moment on either side about why it's actually happening. The issue with Taiwan right now is that Taiwan's facing presidential and legislature elections in January. And it seems that the Democratic Progressive Party, which is the pro-independence party of Taiwan, is leading in the polls and will probably win both the presidential election and the legislature election come January. This is a source of great disquiet to Beijing because it doesn't want to see Taiwan moving further towards independence, especially at a time when Beijing is emphasizing its claims, its territorial claims in the East China Sea and in the South China Sea.
Let's go through the motivation for each side. From the Taiwanese side, why have they now decided to come into this meeting? What's in it for them?
It's a good question, and there is debate on this. Some people say that it's the issue of the Taiwanese president, ying-jeou, and he wants to cement his place in history by being the first Taiwanese leader since 1949 to meet the top Chinese leader. And others say that it's a ploy by ying-jeou and the party that he leads, the KMT, in order to influence the election. In other words, if somehow he and Xi Jinping, the Chinese leader, can have a conducive meeting, a friendly meeting that emphasizes peace across the Taiwan Straits and the status quo, that could bolster KMT's support in the elections. Though there is already a big backlash in Taiwan on social media by those who are pro-independence, criticizing this meeting very harshly.
And then on the Chinese side, as you say, there is concern that Taiwan might actually be taking an even more nationalist line as a result of China's rather assertive role in the South China Sea and so on. That's broadly what's motivated Beijing in all this.
We think that probably Beijing's big concern is that Taiwan could elect, as I said, a pro-independence president and a pro-independence legislature for the first time since 1949. So it seems that maybe Beijing is getting ready to do something to try to turn the tide of pro-independence support in Taiwan. Now, what would this be? There is various speculation, but some people say that Xi Jinping, when he meets ying-jeou, would have to offer something. Perhaps he would allow ying-jeou to call himself president. That would be a kind of a recognition of Taiwan's status. Or maybe he would sign up to something like the so-called 92 consensus, which is another sort of diplomatic formula that recognizes Taiwan's separate entity. But this is all speculation. There's absolutely no evidence that such a concession would be made by China.
One other thing, where does this leave the US? The US has always been very close to Taiwan. It's obviously got a more complex, sometimes tense relationship with the Chinese over their role in the South China Sea and other issues. Have they been left out of this, or will they be happy to see this happening, or will they be concerned about being sidelined?
I don't know what the US position would be, but clearly US and mainland Chinese tensions are growing over the South China Sea. We've seen the navigation operations that the US has been pursuing in the South China Sea. So for China, from China's perspective, the prospect that amid these growing tensions with the US, Taiwan moves away from the mainland to become more independent is obviously a source of great disquiet. How the US will deal with this will really depend on how they balance their relationship with the mainland, China, and Taiwan. So we'll have to see what happens.
James, thank you.